Oh,
But
it's like
he's
defusing the
got
bomb. You set him
yeah
down and you just like back out of the room slowly.
yeah. But he will always fall asleep.
Oh, first fucking try. Actually got the
Holy shit!
audio.
Look at this guy. Is that
There
what
it
you've been
is.
doing for the last
There it
half
is.
hour? Trying to figure out the audio?
I was expecting to hear,
Yeah.
no, but another episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Garbage. Today we've got cult classic, Big Trouble in Little China. Came out in 1986. John Carpenter joint, starring Kurt Russell, Kim Cattrall, Dennis Dunn, James Hong. This is a movie that was a commercial failure. Had a budget of $20 million, but grossed only about $11 million in North America. But I think really since like home video or DVD release came out, this movie, I mean, this built up a huge cult following. I had seen this multiple times before, but neither of you guys had seen this movie before.
That was first for me.
So I was excited for this one. This is a movie I can't help but smile when watching this. Spoiler alert, I really love this movie. We'll get into our thoughts and reactions a little bit in a little while, but I personally really love this movie. It's a quick short summary of it. A rough and tumble trucker, Jack Burton, helps rescue his friend's fiance from an ancient sorcerer and a supernatural battle beneath Chinatown, San Francisco. Critically, like I said, it was kind of mixed reviews. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's a 78% for the critics, audience 82%, so those are actually kind of close. IMDb, it's a 7.3. Metacritics is a little lower, though, at a 53 out of 100. And here's a quick quote from Roger Ebert, because he gave it a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes. He said, "Special effects don't mean much unless we care about the characters who are surrounded by them. And in this movie, the characters often seem to exist only to fill up the foreground." So kind of a brutal review, I think, for that movie.
Roger Ebert sucks.
Yeah.
How do you even get that damn job?
He's been doing it for a while, too. But like I said,
wait, did you discuss that?
He's still
alive
alive,
anymore,
right?
right?
It's the Siskel was the one who passed away originally.
Who?
Right?
Cisco died?
Oh, maybe I got this wrong. Let me look. While
Who
I'm
did you
looking
say?
this,
No, who did you say? Because it sounded like you said Cisco is in like the thong.
Siskel,
Oh,
Siskel.
I was like, didn't realize Cisco,
Yeah,
platinum
Siskel.
recording artist, is also a famed music movie critic.
You know, some people have a wide variety of talents.
He lives a hard and fast.
Jack of all trades.
Roger Ebert did pass away in 2013, so I guess
It's been a minute.
let's not speak too ill of the dead here, I guess.
Maybe you should learn some movie history, Matt.
He still sucks. Still don't
Okay,
like it.
we're blaming shit on me already. All right, whatever. Sorry, I don't know Roger Ebert died. My bad. So I said it's a $20 million budget. That was actually kind of a high budget at the time. Another movie that came out this same year, Aliens, James Cameron flick, $18 million budget on that one. So this is actually a Big Trouble in Little China is actually a higher budget than that, which that was kind of a summer blockbuster film. So kind of a big budget on this movie with not a lot of return, like I said earlier. So that was a lot of me talking. Let's start with Bo. What did you quick thoughts on Big Trouble in Little China? Initial thoughts. We'll get into specifics later, but what would you think?
Sure. Quick initial thoughts were, in every other movie that we've done yet, I've like taken notes and I've never really had to use them. And so like this time I was like, I'm not going to take notes. Like I'll just remember it. And like I regret not taking notes because I feel like so much happened and so much ridiculousness and absurdity that I wish I would have. So I guess the quick thought is that was a hell of a lot of a movie fit into like an hour and 40-minute time span.
Yes, that's one of my maybe critiques, maybe not. There's a lot that goes on in this movie. This plot, it's nothing short of I don't know. There's just a lot of shit. Some of it you kind of gotta just take and run with it. They don't explain some things. You just kind of gotta accept the world that you're given and move on. But yeah, definitely a lot of stuff going on. Did you like it? Do you think it was like good, bad? We can do good, bad, garbage pretty early in this one. Would you think on that front of this one?
I did like it. I thought it was. I think I would call it good because I don't think it's bad. I don't think I could actually say it's bad, and it's definitely not garbage. So I would actually say it's good. Obviously, it's sarcastic and it knows that it's sarcastic. Like it's sort of like Velocipaster, but with obviously a much higher budget and real actors. Like it definitely doesn't take itself seriously, but there are definitely some moments where you're like, in what world was like, I know that they were going for the type of movie that they were making, but then there's just certain moments in the movie where you're like, wait, we're going to that extent? Like when the googly eye thing shows up at the end, I'm just like
what?
that.
Or was it called?
I don't remember what it's called, but yeah, the thing with a bunch of eyes.
The Guardian. It's called The Guardian.
Yeah, okay. The
Yeah,
Guardian.
the Guardian, right there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the point of the movie is you're supposed to feel like Jack. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Where am I? What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear it. It's purposely. It's made on purpose. Like it's made like this, like in a specific way on purpose, for sure. So, yeah, I could see how some people could like it and some people could not like it. I could see if someone told me they didn't like this movie, I might understand why. But I think for the most part, as long as you're aware of what it is, I think generally most people like it. But Quinn, what did you think of it? You hadn't seen it either.
I hadn't seen it either, but it has been on my radar for a while. I love John Carpenter. I love Kurt Russell. They're both, and I love all their movies they've done together. This is the fourth one they've done together. I liked all the other ones they've done.
Facts.
What?
But dropping facts. Someone did their homework.
This, unlike Bo, this is the first movie I actually took notes on. This is one I was really excited for to do.
Good. I will ride your coattails.
I really enjoy it. I knew going in it was going to be weird, and it's like any movie. You just got to go in with an open mind. You can't go in thinking it's going to be one thing because then you'll be disappointed. I knew it was going to be an action, a lot of weird shit that you're not going to understand, and it's fine. You just got to go along for the ride most of the time.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, it's funny you say, you didn't know what to expect. So some people say the reason this movie was a flop is because the marketing campaign around it, there really wasn't one. John Carpenter was told that they'd get $3 million worth of ads in newspapers and billboards and shit like that. And back in the 80s when that actually mattered.
That's all he had.
Yeah, that's all he had.
I think that's what $3 million of advertising.
They just, instead of like an email campaign, someone just wrote 10,000 letters and just mailed them out to people. Right? No, they didn't do that.
They sent pigeon messengers.
Yeah, by horse. They didn't, and they actually didn't end up doing a campaign because the studio they weren't too thrilled with this movie. They thought they were going to be getting an Indiana Jones style action adventure movie. They had no idea that John Carpenter was going to take this more comedic, sarcastic route, and also the route of Jack Burton is kind of a dumbass and not really a hero. Wang is the hero, Jack Burton's a sidekick, and the studio didn't like that, so they're like, we're not going to market it. But
the point on that, when I first watched it, the opening, we can talk about the opening because it kind of goes along with this, is so odd and off. You watch the opening scene when they're doing the interview with the guy, and you're like, that makes no sense for the rest of the movie. And I kept waiting at the end, for them to bring back where they're interviewing or they go to the cops. And it never comes up again. I'm like, what was the point of that? That was so weird. And then literally the next scene after that is Jack Burton in his truck talking on his walkie or his two-way radio. And I'm like, wait, where was the whole opening with that old guy in the interview? It makes no sense. And it totally throws the tone of the movie off right away. So I didn't even get the idea of the movie until after the big street fight scene and they go back to the shop or the little restaurant, and they're trying to explain it, and Jack's like, wait, what's going on? I'm a reasonable guy, but I've seen some very unreasonable things. And you're like, oh, wait, no, he's an idiot. He has no idea what he's doing. He's completely out of place here. It's actually the Wu guy is the hero.
Yeah, Wayne.
And after that, I was like, okay, I'm all in on this. This is really fun.
Well, Mr. Research, did you look into that first scene at all? Because there's a story behind it.
After they had completely wrapped up filming, and they didn't know how to market it, and the network, Universal, is this Universal Studios?
I think it's Fox. 20th century.
20th century. They came back and told Carpenter, like, we want Kurt to be the hero.
Yeah, the hero.
And they couldn't market a Chinese lead actor at the time. It wasn't a popular thing. So they were like, we're going to put Kurt in. And John's like, I watched the interview. John's like, that was total BS. But I shot it.
Yeah. You're right. The studio basically forced them to shoot that scene with Egg, Victor Wong's character, to make it seem like Jack Burton was more of a hero than he actually was.
So it totally threw me off until, a quarter of the movie way into it. I'm like, wait a second. Jack Burton's not a hero at all. He's a total buffoon. Yeah. He doesn't know anything that's going on. He does nothing every fight scene. He gets hit in the head all the time. He's just yelling.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. Let's dig into Jack Burton as a character really quick.
Awesome.
I love him. He's not
hilarious.
He's not a hero like John Carpenter didn't want him to be the hero. That's not what he is. He knocks himself out in
one
fight
redeeming
scenes.
quality. One redeeming quality. He's got really good reflexes. That's it.
It's all Oh my god.
I could just have I don't know if they make those things anymore, but those rip off calendars every day. It's just a sticky pad that you rip off, and then there's always motivational quotes on ones.
Should be John or
Jack Burtonisms. Just a notepad of Jack Burtonisms.
I've got a bunch of his quotes written down.
Yeah, we'll go through those a little later. But yeah, I love Jack Burton. I think it's a different kind of character too. And that was the point John Carpenter was trying to do. He's this, manly man, air quotes, meathead manly man.
Yeah.
Thrown in a situation.
A parody of the action heroes at the time.
Yeah. And he never knows what's going on. We're kind of viewing the movie through his eyes because he never knows what's going on. We don't know what's going on. I think Kurt Russell is fucking perfect in this role too. Apparently, John Carpenter, you mentioned this was their fourth movie together. They had done Elvis, Escape from New York, and The Thing together. So they had a relationship. But at this time, Kurt Russell now, huge star. I would call him a huge star. People know who Kurt Russell is.
Yeah.
At this time, not a huge star. He had done those movies we had mentioned, but none of them made.
The only thing that really had made any waves.
I think the only thing that made money was Escape from New York.
That one made money?
Yeah, I think the other one, and not a lot either. Nothing else that Kurt Russell had done had made money. So the studio didn't want Kurt Russell. They wanted Jack Nicholson or Clint Eastwood, but neither of them, they declined it because I don't know if this is actually said, but John Carpenter has said he wanted Kurt Russell and he knew that those other actors wouldn't do it because they didn't want to look dumb on film, and Kurt Russell was very much in a mode of I don't fucking care, just I'll do whatever you want. I just want to have a good time.
A fucking alien in Antarctica. Sign me up.
Yeah, so I think Kurt Russell is perfect. Let's see, what are some other crazy characters in this movie?
And then the old guy, obviously, he's really good.
The guy from anyone else seen Three Ninjas? I always just think of him from Three Ninjas.
Oh man,
Maria swears by that movie, and I think I tried to watch it one time when we first met, and I fell asleep.
Three Ninjas, man, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, man, I watched that shit all the time as a kid. These three kids are ninjas. They're brothers. Their grandpa is Victor Wong, even though they're all white as fuck. And Victor Wong is very much
okay. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, okay. I know where you're going with this, Quinn. Right?
So stupid. There is no. What do they call it now when a white person does something of cultural appropriation?
Whitewash.
This is not whitewashed at all. There's no cultural appropriation at all
in this
movie.
In Big Trouble?
Like,
Wait, were they saying there was cultural appropriation?
I didn't think there. I agree with you. I didn't think there was. The only thing I saw was I think like the Chinese market was basically saying that they weren't going to be a fan of this movie because they assumed he was going to do a bunch of stereotypical, like Chinese stereotypes. I don't think that's what happened. I think they were kind of worried he was going to do it, but that's not necessarily what happened.
And the thing with their biggest thing was like, okay, it was written by two white guys. It was originally written as a Western, and they wanted to modernize it. Yeah. The director's white, but he cast literally all Asian actors and used Asian influences throughout his movie. Like, he was very on the nose with a lot of Asian culture. Kurt Russell and like Kim Cattrall and her sidekick were the only three white people in the entire movie. So
yeah,
Kim Cattrall's character wasn't, but Jack Burton was. So it's not whitewashed at all. So I never got it.
I never got that either. I think John Carpenter wanted to make a martial arts movie, but he like put the right people in place to make it. So I wouldn't say
so that whole argument thing is silly.
Yeah.
To be nice.
You mentioned Kim Cattrall. I can't think of anything else she's done other than Sex and the City. I had no idea she had a career before Sex and the City. So that's
one of those things though, like you do Sex in the City and she's probably still getting residuals on that for the rest of her life.
It's like the people it's like the group from Friends besides Jennifer Aniston. Who else has done it?
Right.
Yeah. So that always throws me off. That's right. Kim Cattrall she's in this movie. That's right. Some of the weirder characters, the Storms, thunder, rain.
Okay, can we bring this up? Halloween costume?
Yeah,
how awesome would that be?
That's not bad, actually. I didn't think of
those hats. Can we find those hats?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure they're out there.
Go try and. I'm sure you'd have to literally type. Like, there's probably not a name for. There probably is. Okay, this is like.
Dude, those are the social distancing hats, but no one's getting close to you in those suckers.
It's just so oversized. It was so funny.
It's not bad.
And Jack Burton, can we do like an Entourage Halloween costume whenever we can do that again? The Storms and Jack Burton?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty awesome.
I would love to like be any of these characters for Halloween. That would be awesome. Yeah, the Storms, those as a kid, I always think they're cool because they have like this cool special powers and shit, but they're kind of ridiculous when you really think about it.
Yeah. Like overpowered, like the most ridiculous. There's the whole street fight between the two gangs, and then the two gangs are like, "Oh shit, we need to join up and fight this other gang with the Storms."
You know my favorite part? I mean, I don't know if we're gonna get to the fight scenes at all, but like during that first fight scene, they first start by those guys. They end up shooting the other guys, but then all of a sudden the guns disappear and then they're fighting. And then if you look in the background, there's like guys hitting each other with batons. Meanwhile, they have axes strapped to their backs. And it's like, out of all the things that you could grab, you've had a gun, you clearly have an axe in your back, but you're using a baton.
The first fight scene was brutal. There were like people breaking bones, guys were getting stabbed. It was a brutal fight scene.
Yeah, there's they're looking like Dak Prescott's ankle out there with some of their limbs,
Too early.
Yeah, too early for sure.
I'll edit that out. Funny note with the Storms, really quickly, if there are any Mortal Kombat fans here, they were the inspiration for Raiden, the Thunder God, in Mortal Kombat. So there you go.
I do like Mortal Kombat, but I'm not going to pretend that I know like anything past Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Kind of.
Sega's the only Mortal Kombat that I know, the original.
No, fair enough. Yeah, let's get to Lo Pan, the villain of the movie. What a horny old son of a bitch that guy is. Cursed to be a ghost for all eternity until he finds a woman with green eyes and sacrifices her.
How did it take him this long to find a woman with green eyes, and then he finds two?
Yeah, that's
my one problem with this movie was, dude, you've been alive how long? and you couldn't find anyone with green eyes?
Like,
and why all of a sudden did you know this chick was coming on the plane? And why'd you send these 3 buffoons to capture if this was your...
I think that was an accident. Like, I think they were there to kidnap that other woman, but then they, like, found Wang's
that's my only issue
but...
with this movie is the whole airport scene and the kidnapping. Like, you were there to get the one girl that the reporter was had, and then all of a sudden you capture this completely other girl. Yeah, it's weird. I didn't get it.
You got to get from point A to point B. You got to get there somehow.
I jumped from point A to B, and I went to C.
What, Bo?
You know, this is the one research thing I just did, and this is only because I was trying to figure out if the girl, does she even have a name in this movie?
The
Wang's
fiance?
girlfriend. No, Wang's girl. Yeah, fiance.
Yeah. Yao Ming.
Oh yeah. No, Miao Yin.
Not Yao Ming. That's a basketball player.
Yeah, Yao
Min.
Famous 7'5" fiance. I like Googled her because I wanted to even find out if she was like Chinese. Because like, I mean, she kind of looks like she could be.
She's definitely like Southeast Asian.
Well, she's from Toledo, so there's that.
Well, James,
her name is what was it? Sue Francis Pye. So I mean, her last name sounds like it's got some, but Sue Francis, like she's probably like.
I'm sure she's like first or second generation.
Anyways, regardless, I was like, has she ever played anything in like ever? Like, is she an actress?
She hasn't had any speaking roles in this movie.
Yeah. Do you want to know why? She was her most acclaimed thing. If you look on the first sentence of her Wikipedia page, former actress and model, and was Penthouse Pet of the Month in January 1981.
She just needs to look pretty.
The fact that they even called it a penthouse pet, this has nothing to do with the movie. It's like, that is like
that sounds like something from the 80s.
Yeah, whoever runs Penthouse now might want to go back and start editing these Wikipedia pages that the word pet.
Just start deleting history and like, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that.
Kind of industrial shredders.
This wasn't involved.
Yeah.
That was like that's my research of the day.
There you go.
That was good. That was a good one.
And I literally did that 5 minutes ago. So.
She has, you're right. On IMDb, she has seven credits for being an actress. She was apparently Vietnamese prostitute, uncredited in Rambo: First Blood. So there you go.
Okay.
Came out just a couple of years before this. But no, you're right. Both. I think Quinn was making the point. Maybe both of you were. Yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, and I think in any movie you kind of got to take a leap of faith, but yeah, Lil Pan's been around for thousands of years and couldn't find one girl with green eyes. Like
you had to like,
I know it's rare, but
make her fall in love with him. He literally just like stole her and like seduced her through like unnatural ways. Like it's like he literally just had to find one person with green eyes, not like have one person with green eyes fall in love with him.
No, yeah, they absolutely didn't fall in love with him. Yeah, it's boom, put him under a spell. Now they
love needle.
Yeah, funny because I watched this movie twice, just once normal and then once with the like direct Kurt Russell and John Carpenter audio commentary. That scene where he's like doing the needle. Apparently that actor, and God bless him, James Hong, he was really into this role and I love it and it comes across and I think he did a great job as this character. Apparently he got a little too into that scene and was actually hurting her, and you can actually see her wince like during that scene. She has to like collect herself.
For what scene is that?
The when he's digging the needle into Miao Yin's like arm, drawing blood from her, like during their wedding.
Huh.
Like he gets a little, it's a retractable needle, but he gets like a little too into it apparently. So, but I mean, it comes across that way. Like he really dove into this role, and I love it because if you get an actor to just mail it in on this role, I think this movie just wouldn't be as good. I know you can say that for pretty much any role or movie.
The Lo Pan
yeah, Lo Pan.
When he's the old dude in the wheelchair, it's so funny.
Yeah,
he's hilarious.
And apparently, like that took hours of makeup, and he.
I was gonna say that. Maria walked in, like when he first showed up on the
makeup,
screen, and she's like, "Holy shit, that makeup is nuts!" Like, just like how much had to go into it.
Dude, John Carpenter is the master of natural. What do they call that?
Like, practical effects. Like,
practical effects.
Yeah, like because this is made, I think, in the perfect time of like the '80s, where practical effects were the thing you kind of had to do because visual effects weren't quite there yet, but you wanted to make it look good. Because I think it ages well for the most part. I think like a lot of the
besides like the lightning and all that shit, but
which
it just goes along with the neon and all the craziness of it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. It's not dated like. What do we watch? We watched some movie that the CGI was just super dated on.
Super Mario Brothers.
Maybe. Yeah, except they had like the Yoshi that was like studied by Jurassic
Park loved it. Yeah. Creators of Jurassic Park loved it. Like if there's one thing to come out of that movie, that Yoshi was fucking phenomenal.
Super dated.
Somebody literally was like has on their resume like
Yoshi creator.
Just like made live animatronic Yoshi, studied by Jurassic Park creators, and that dude is hired for every job since.
And key there is to not list the movie Super Mario Brothers. Like you say, animatronic dinosaur creator that led to Jurassic Park. Like that's what you write on the resume. You have to word
that properly. And then you get into the interview and they ask about that section. You're like, oh, it's just a famous movie about two brothers who are trying to combat an evil alien society.
Plumbers save the world. Like, you know, or what you do is you just have that clip of that scene and just that's on repeat and you don't tell them the movie. It's like, here it is. Like, you don't need to know the movie. Here it is.
Just bring it up on your phone and just play and be like, this is the answer.
But yeah, I love Lopan. I think because he's kind of funny, quirky, and dramatic, I think it really means a lot that like James Hong really sold it and dove into that character. The last character I really had here to talk about was the true hero, Yang, played by Dennis Dunn. He's
Yang or Wang.
Wang, sorry, it's W-A-N-G, okay. So my bad.
Only because Jack says it about 5,000 times.
Yeah. I don't have much to say about him other than he's good, and I like, the chemistry between him and Kurt Russell and Jack Burton is really good. And he is definitely like the hero, as in he always knows what's going on, and he's the one beating people up.
Okay, so one criticism of him, he goes from like, how does all of a sudden he's like this martial arts master? Like he didn't show
the potion. He drank the potion, and like
Okay, we can talk about the potion because that might be one of my favorite scenes.
I have that.
That's actually really good.
But no, yeah, you're right. Like, because even before the potion, he was fighting really well. So I think.
Well, the one time when he was all of a sudden just like, holy shit, this guy is the shit, is when is it the part where he's like, okay, we're trapped or something, and then all of a sudden he pops out and Jack's like trying to figure out how to get his gun working
and his knife.
He just killed like 6 people, and Jack's like, oh wait, all right, good, nice job, good for you, glad you're here. Like, it just all of a sudden you like knew kung fu or something.
My favorite part about his fight scenes, and like that first one that you were just talking about, Clint, kind of had it, but obviously that last one, and if we get into that, we can talk about it. But the fact that he constantly would jump, and it's like he would just float in a kicking motion for like 8 feet.
Fun side note trivia: they use trampolines for all of the jumping, no wires.
Yeah, they use. Yep.
Surprised he just didn't have a 9-foot vertical. Honestly, I was going to go with just natural athletic talent.
It's just talent there, man. Straight talent. So yeah, I don't. Were there any other? Those are the characters I had to talk about. Any other ones that you, liked, disliked in the movie that you thought were worth
I thought everybody played the role great. Everybody, it all worked. There wasn't one character that stood out that was awkward or like out of place.
Yeah, everybody.
I think it worked well. The casting was great. So everybody
had to commit to like what the movie was.
Yeah,
and I feel
everybody was sold on the idea of the movie and committed to it.
And I'm sure it feels like one of those things. Like, I don't. Maybe somebody that actually did research can tell me differently, but it feels like one of those movies where I feel like the entire cast is probably like done filming and then they go and get hammered together till 2 a.m. laughing and like they're just having like they're probably like all best friends after like filming that movie because they're just like this is just outrageous. It's like we're just out here making a ridiculous movie that makes no sense with a really big budget.
For sure. The only thing I can say to that is listening to the commentary with Carpenter and Russell. It's not like everyone was best friends after. Like Kurt Russell was basically asking John Carpenter, like, "Oh, what are they doing now?" And John Carpenter would always know, so it's not like they were best friends. But both of them did say this was the most fun they ever had making a movie. So, like that part is right, and I think you could tell. Like it just seemed like you can just tell sometimes, right? They're like, oh, they're having fun making this. So, no, for sure. I guess the last one we kind of talked. Victor Wong, Egg. I thought he was great. I loved how he was like just happy to like dive into this like underground battle. Just be like, yeah, I'm fulfilling my destiny. Plus, like he had some good banter with Jack Burton a little bit. The old guy, Egg.
He was so like out of nowhere, like just all of a sudden he comes in. He's like, yeah, I'll help you. We'll go down this chute in the back of my lot.
Yeah, fireman pole going. Fireman pole just going down. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The next thing I had, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but the sidekick versus hero thing. So a reason that we kind of brought it up already that this movie was a flop is people apparently just didn't get that this was a comedy, and they didn't get that Wang was supposed to be the hero and Kurt Russell was supposed to be the sidekick. We've kind of talked about it already, but people just didn't get it, I guess. Like, I don't know if they just didn't get like comedy back then as well as now.
I'm thinking it's more of like the issue with the marketing. You steer mentality sort of one direction. People go in with this idea of like, okay, it's a big budget action flick like all the rest of these 80s action movies. Kurt Russell, white guy, brawny white guy is the main hero. And they go into like, this guy's kind of an idiot. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So I think it's one thing, and I kind of said at the top of the episode is if you know like what this movie is supposed to be going in, I think you will thoroughly enjoy it. I think a lot of critics kind of bashed it because they thought they were getting an Indiana Jones and what they got was this, and they're just very different. So
I feel like the title Big Trouble in Little China though already lends itself to like some form of like expectation that this isn't going to take itself too seriously. Like it is a hilariously ridiculous name. Like it makes sense for what it is.
It makes for sure.
I would never call like some movie that wanted to be very serious about itself Big Trouble in Little China.
Like Interstellar should have been Big Trouble in Little Black Hole, or like you wouldn't have called it that. It's just Interstellar. No, you're right. And even like the first scene where he's driving the truck and he's fucking being a meathead on the the radio or whatever.
Now, what is him always talking into his two-way at the beginning of the movie?
I don't know if this is accurate.
Who's he talking to? Just randomly
I don't know how accurate this is. My only other reference is the movie Joyride for Paul Walker, Steve Zahn movie from the late 90s. Apparently, people... What was that, Bo?
That R.I.P.
Oh, yeah, R.I.P. Big time R.I.P. In that movie, they represent the same thing. Like, truckers just talking to the void because they just want someone to talk to because they're just driving all the time.
I've heard, I don't know where I've heard that before though. Like, and this literally could be discredited by anybody, but I thought I heard that like, yeah, when you get out into like weird areas and like you start driving across the country, you start hitting the things where every like 4 out of 5 cars are trucks late at night, that they actually like CB radio channels. Like that's like, they'll literally tell stories and talk to each other because like they have nothing else to do.
They need to stay awake. Like you just talk to someone else to like keep going. So that's, I think, Bo knowing that too makes me think it's actually true. To the fact that both of us
2 out of 3 is good for me.
It's passing 66%. We're good. Next thing special effects. We've kind of touched on it, but on the Blu-ray I have, they have a 13-minute interview with the special effects producer, and I thought there were just some interesting things. The eyeball monster, the Guardian. Apparently, it's like a puppet that 15 people. It takes 15 people to control it, and it's full of like different balloons and stuff that they'll like fill with air to make like the cheeks move and everything. And then they put it in front of a blue screen to like record it and then put it in the movie to make it like floating and stuff. But I thought that was kind of interesting because the first time I saw this movie, I thought it was just completely computer generated, but apparently it's just legit a puppet that they made and then put it on blue screen.
So that's like, here's the thing about that. That's like incredibly impressive. Like I would have assumed the same thing as you. But like, at what point during this making you have your budget and you're just like, we could build this, and I'm sure it wasn't just cheap. Like,
I'm glad you brought this up, Bo, because let me tell you.
Do you have it?
Yes, I do. Budget was in the interview. I listened to it, so I figured I'd write it down. Like I said, budget is $20 million on this movie. Budget for special effects, $1.83 million. The budget for that ball, the Guardian, $100,000. So,
and it's just, why did you have to do it? Like, even if you wanted to make something, you could have just had one eye, just one thing. But no, it had to be this like ridiculously preposterous.
Is that what they ended up spending on it? $100,000, or is that what they got?
He said that's how much it cost to make the whole thing, $100,000 of their just under $2 million special effects budget. It was $100,000.
I knew it was a significant chunk of their special effects.
Which, the guy, this is a pretty well-known special effects guy too. I'll try to look up his name.
John Lloyd.
No, not John Lloyd.
No, he was like the
Aaron Williams.
No, John Lloyd is actually, I think that's the guy that did the set design because they used it in a Janet Jackson music video.
Yes, they did. They did.
I did a lot of research on this.
I was gonna say I need to like step my game up because I'm.
Nah, it's because I haven't done anything on any other movie, and this movie
The only fact I have for you, Susie Pie was Penthouse Pet of the Year.
That was a good one,
that's
though.
Important.
That was a really good one.
1981.
It was important.
She's really gorgeous. Like it makes sense why I'm not discrediting her.
As soon as you said that, I was like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yeah, that makes sense. But
that just makes sense. Richard Eldon was the special effects guy. He won 2 Oscars. He did Star Wars, so I'm assuming he won an Oscar for that. Actually,
pretty good.
And then Indiana Jones. So
pretty good. That's a pretty good track record.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. Like, I don't know why, but when I picture the guy who did Star Wars, I'm like, oh, you did Big Trouble in Little China as well. Like, all right.
Maybe they thought it was going to be a thing.
I guess so.
How much
Return of the Jedi and Raiders Lost Ark? You won the Oscar.
How much fun would it be though, like to be like the Star Wars, whatever? We'll use a special effects guy as an example. You're doing all this crazy stuff. You already know that you're making this like legendary, like not just a cult classic, but like literally has its own theme area in Disney World.
Well, it's that changed cinema. Like Star Wars changed.
And at that time, they knew Star Wars had already like done.
Yeah, like it was an instant. This changed movies.
Yeah, and then some dude just comes up to you and is like, "Hey, we got $2 million for you about this incredibly ridiculous, sarcastic movie." Like John Carpenter.
The guy just had a great sense of humor, and he's like, "I get it. I'm in.
You get to do whatever you want." I'd be like, "Fuck you! You don't have to pay me."
This movie is literally do whatever you want special effects. They have 3 monsters that they don't explain at all.
Yeah.
No context. They just show up out of nowhere and then they're gone until the very last scene. Then they pop up again. Where did they come from?
A weird Yeti thing that just comes out and like puts the
sewer monster that Jack's like, wait, what the fuck was that? Don't worry about it. Let's
So I love. No, you're right. Because I brought this.
Literally ate a guy. Yeah. Don't come back. You're telling me just don't come back? What are we not going to talk about this?
No, it's true because I brought this up because in the interview he said this was a stretch, like 1.8 mil, not a lot for what they were asking him to do. So yeah, that's why I brought it up. But no, I love that all-time line too, which maybe it'll be a quote later on when we talk about. But yeah, like you shall come out no more. What'll come out no more? All-time great line. But no,
I was like, damn it.
Yeah. But that creature was actually supposed to have a bigger role. Like that was a similar thing to the eyeball thing where I don't think it cost as much money, but it took 15, 20 people to work it. and it took forever to make. It's massive, right? Like, it was actually supposed to have a bigger role in the movie, but then John Carpenter went like, no, we're just going to do this one scene. Like, oh, fuck, all right.
We already have too many random monsters with story plot lines. Great character development, though.
Yeah, so it is just crazy. But yeah, I mean, the only other special effects thing I had, you brought up the Wild Man. They say the Sasquatch looking thing.
So
just
random.
Giant rubber suit, took 20 people to put it on the guy. That sounds horrible. They had to have 100 employees to just work this shit because it takes 15, 20 people to work everything, I feel like. And then the last thing, the
random ass monsters.
Yeah. Lopan, when he goes from old to young and his face lights up, that's just like a giant rubber head, and then they put a light bulb in it to like get that effect. So
what was the special effects of Thunder, like blowing himself up at the end?
So I was actually really disappointed because when he blows up or implodes and just gets huge, they show like different models of it in the interview, but he never explains it. The feeling I got was that it was kind of something that maybe they pumped with air because it just expanded. But it also looked like they had different molds that maybe they put on them and they filmed it. I wasn't sure, but I was kind of disappointed that they didn't explain that more. But you're right. I wish they would have, because that was crazy. Like, it looked like they just threw a bunch of cabbage in the hallway too, and he finally explodes.
He explodes just green shit.
It's just lettuce.
That was its Velocipaster moment. Like when I said I died laughing when they like showed the raptor at the very end in Velocipaster, when they were showing him like getting really intense and like getting bigger, and all of a sudden they cut to him and he's blowing. He's like, he literally looks like Hey Arnold, almost like he's got like a
football head.
I was literally like gonna lose.
So they kind of alluded to it earlier in the movie when Jack like grabs him before he gets sent down the hallway on the wheelchair, and he grabs him around the chest, and the guy goes and blows up a little bit.
Yeah,
I thought maybe he was gonna, because he was already pretty swole. I thought he was gonna like blow up and get super big and jacked.
Yeah,
but he just blew up.
Which is another kind of pufferfish.
Pufferfish. He just
he's a pufferfish.
Blow up and pop.
Which is like, it's another kind of weird thing about the movie where they don't explain it. You kind of just have to accept it and run. Like, why did he do that? Was he just upset?
You're just like, wait a second, why did he do that? Who cares? Just keep going. Get out of here.
How dare they not show the scientific reasoning behind it?
No, it doesn't have to be science. It doesn't have to be scientific reasoning. You could literally make up a line of dialogue that's magic based and be like, "Yep, okay, cool, move on."
My thought process was he saw Lopan had got killed.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. He's upset. He's upset, Lopan, but like, whatever. I'm not going to beat up on him.
Like, if his name had something to do with what he was doing, like his name is Thunder. Like, if I don't know how
he wasn't Thunder.
Do it. He wasn't Thunder.
It was Rain.
It was Rain, Thunder, and Lightning were the three.
Thunder and Lightning. Oh, so he might have been Thunder.
I think he was Thunder.
He was Thunder, I'm pretty sure. But like, if you named him like, I don't know, like
Blow Up One Upset Guy
or Balloon, or like that was his name, I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. He's a balloon. He just popped. Yeah. Like, I get it. But
yeah, because Lightning, like, obviously he shot Lightning out. Rain, right. I don't know. He died in the sword fight with Wang.
Wang, yeah.
The ridiculous. Let's just keep jumping and battling each other with swords.
That whole last fight was ridiculous. Which, yeah, I mean, we can get into it. Just get into some of our favorite parts of the movie. That last fight scene, pretty awesome, and I love how it's followed up after like. Again, it's Egg.
My favorite scene.
It's Egg, like a little banter with Jack Burton, but I like how Jack's like, "What's in the flask, Egg? Magic potion? Yeah. What are we supposed to do? Drink it? Yeah. Knew it." And you chug it, and they're in the elevator, and they're like, "I don't know. I kind of feel invincible. Yeah, I feel really good about
like
this
looking
situation
around
we're
at each
in."
other. It looks like they're all high. They're like,
yeah. Like,
I wanted them to like. I was hoping that they were going to just imply that it was just like they just took a shot randomly, you know, like that.
Yeah,
it's
took
always,
some acid.
I don't know if you remember, like the "It's Always Sunny" episode where it's actually real relevant now, but like the quarantine episode when they're
like, is that when they're sick? And then
yeah, well, they start getting sick, and so then Frank is stuffing him and locking him in the bathroom, and Frank shaves his whole body, and he looks like a slug. And then they just find out
they hadn't been drinking.
Yeah, Charlie has whiskey stored in bleach bottles underneath the sink, and suddenly they magically feel better. I was like hoping that was going to be a moment where they're just like, oh no, it was just tequila shots, dude. Or like Space Jam's Michael's.
Yeah, they don't explain the drink at all.
Oh, it's magic. No. They explain it like it's magic. Magic potion. You drink it and you feel.
And then good. He goes out and shoots the ceiling.
Yeah,
knocks himself out, and then he's out for the whole fight. He kills one guy with a boot knife, and that's it.
That's what I love. Like John Carpenter, like he said,
shit.
like he said that whole final, like he wanted it to be Jack Burton. Like he's a bumbling idiot. He just wanted to find different ways to take him out of the fight. You know what I mean? Like, he shoots the ceiling, hits him in the head, passed out. Oh, kills one guy, but then dead body on him.
That whole scene from when he said about the magic potion to drinking it, they're all lined up at the bar, taking drinks, taking weird quotes, and then they get in the elevator, and then he shoots himself with the thing. I was dying the whole time. It was so funny.
Love that part.
What's so disappointing is like not disappointing, but like maybe this is like an indictment on like our society. Like the gun he's holding, I'm like, some gun freak's gonna be like, you're wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a Tech 9. And I was like, why do I know that's a Tech 9? And then I realized it's just from playing Grand Theft Auto. That's how I know. But like the best part is I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be like an automatic weapon, and you're just like firing it like a normal pistol around at people the entire time.
Yeah. Well, I love it too when he
kills someone earlier in the maitre d's like, have you ever killed anyone before? And he's like, yeah, duh.
Yeah,
I've done that.
Totally,
sure.
Totally have. Well, that was another.
Someone.
What was that?
I was trying to remember what the guy actually said. Is like,
have you ever plugged anyone before?
Yeah, have you ever plugged anyone?
Yeah. Well, that was another good fight scene too, where like, yeah, he shoots, it takes a couple of guys out, like what you talked about earlier. But then he loses a gun. He tries taking the knife out of his boot and like throws it all the way over there. And Wang's just beating everyone up, and then he finally like jumps back into action. Oh, it's fucking done. Okay, cool, whatever. But yeah, I like how
he did it, bro.
Yeah, I like how it starts too, just at the door. Like, all right, we're gonna run on 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. Open the door. Everyone, okay, close it. We may be trapped.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's why I love Kurt Russell. Like, anyone could say that line, but the way Kurt Russell delivers it is just so fucking perfect. I love it. It's awesome.
There was also a hilarious line after that. He's telling everybody to run as they're busting through the door. He's like, run. They only saw me. They never saw anybody else. I don't know if you caught that, but he was like, everybody, and they're all standing literally right behind him.
Another great, I think probably my favorite thing is they first get into Lopan's like room where the statues are, and he's got that wall, and they tap the wall, and they're like, was it hollow? Hollow? Yeah, fuck it. Shots and walks through. I was like, oh my God.
I love it. I rewound that one to just like hear it again, but just to make sure I wrote down the quote right too. But I love it. Hollow.
It's so funny.
I like one of my favorite scenes actually too, when early on in the movie, when after the truck gets stolen, and they're at the restaurant, he's in like a robe, and he's on the phone with his insurance company, and he just keeps getting put on hold, just talking shit. And then meanwhile in the background, it's probably one of the most dialogue heavy scenes I've seen in a while, but like they literally just explain almost the entire plot of the movie, like in that one scene. Meanwhile, Jack is just on the phone, just like not paying attention. Like, what's going on? I'm starting to feel like an outsider here. Like he literally, that's a line he says. Like, that scene's hilarious. The opening, like it's all in the reflexes, catching the bottles, another classic.
Literally his only redeeming quality for the whole movie.
Yeah. Well, like that. Hey, that's how he kills Lopan. Right?
Yeah.
Catches the knife.
And he totally misses the first shot, like badly.
And they red herring that, or whatever the term is, so badly. Like, him sharpening his knife all the time. Like, you knew, like, you know, I guess, like, they always have, like, the constant movies that always have the weapon of choice by whoever it is that's supposed to be important in the movie. And you could tell that knife was supposed to be it, but like he had never used it really to that point. He just held it in his mouth or just carried it like casually.
Yeah. No, yep, for sure. Also, that scene, the lipstick scene, classic.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was, I think I saw, it was like Kurt Russell's idea. And again, like John Carpenter, he loved that Kurt Russell was willing to do that because, again, like who'd be willing to like look like an idiot. But yeah, like just got red lipstick on, just and another classic line of like he's saying his own name in the third person, and then one of the storms.
Jack Burton.
Like, who?
Me. I'm Jack Burton.
Jack Burton. Me. Like, but yeah, just classic. I mean, I've got a list of like favorite just scenes or stuff that happens in the movie. I just think there's so many laugh out loud moments. Like there's just so many to pick from. I just think it's hilarious.
That was honestly like this might be my favorite movie you've watched yet.
Oh, it for sure is for me. I didn't give my score earlier, but like my score for this movie that like I keep track of, I give an 8.7 out of 10. Like this is up there for me. And maybe it's like, oh, I kind of grew up on it because like my dad like Kurt Russell, and oddly enough, my mom did too for probably obvious reasons. Kurt Russell in the 80s, but yeah, I mean, any other favorite scenes or good scenes that you guys want to bring up? I like the wheelchair one. He just goes flying backwards.
I like how he goes backwards and then he gets caught, and then he's like, well, it makes no sense how he's going forward. And like, I thought he was just gonna roll forward and then get off, and then no, he jumps up and then the chair falls back.
It's a little dramatic. Probably didn't need to throw the whole wheelchair back there, but you know, just making sure. He's just making sure.
My favorite, and this ties into another scene, but any scene where the main characters are talking and Jack's there, and they're talking about the plot and what's going on, and Jack's literally like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. And then that ties into the first where they go into the brothel and they basically set him up as the John, and he looks just like a total buffoon. He doesn't know what he's doing. He goes in, he's like, green eyes. I like ones with green eyes. It's my thing. And he looks just like a total buffoon.
Yeah, no, that's how he's like the perfect character for us to like watch this movie with, because comparing it to like Rumble in the Bronx, where it's maybe the same level of ridiculousness, but I think Rumble in the Bronx takes itself too seriously compared to this movie.
Very much so.
We have Jack Burton who doesn't know what the fuck is going on, so that makes it a little bit easier for us to not know what the fuck is going on versus like Rumble in the Bronx. And I like how they use Jack, like when that giant monster comes out, eats someone, and goes back in. Like Jack Burton legit is like, what the fuck is that? And they just never answer it. You know what I mean?
Like don't worry about it. Let's go.
He's asking all the questions we want to ask, but they just don't answer them. Like we're just moving on.
There's so many good montages on YouTube of just all the Jack Burton questions. Which, I mean, I knew he was asking a bunch of questions, but when you see it in a montage, you just realize that all he's doing is asking questions the entire movie.
It's very true. So yeah, and then the only thing I had here for like criticism, I think you kind of have to take all these with a grain of salt because of the kind of movie it is, but I never really bought into the love story of the movie with Kim Cattrall and like.
I liked how they ended it. I feel like that was a really good way to end it.
Yeah, it makes sense for the movie.
I was gonna say I was almost hoping. Oh, sorry, Matt. You like paused for a second, so I didn't hear you talking.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I thought almost for a second, I thought a hilarious way to move the in the movie was when he like stumbled upon his truck being in the warehouse. And then I was hoping that he would just be like, oh, finally my truck. And he'd just get in it and drive away. And that would be because like the whole movie, all he kept saying was like, I just want to find my truck. And everybody's taking that as like a lie. And I was like, I just hope that's literally all he was trying to do.
He just gets in and drives off.
Well, that would be great. And that's it. That's the end of it.
That would be hilarious and very on character. I think too.
It would have been perfect, but
if they didn't have that opening scene that they had to reshoot and then just end it like that, I think I would have liked the movie even more.
Just the dude trying to find his truck. It's basically
I don't care about any of this. I just want my truck.
It's dude, where's my car? And little
or they could have ended it, or they could have just had him get in his truck, drive off, and then just finished with Wang doing his thing.
That would have been pretty funny. Just drive off. Even if they do like the right thing and he comes back, the thought of him just driving away by himself in that truck and having everyone else be like, "What the fuck?
Where did Jack go?"
Be hilarious.
That's it.
That would have been worth it. That's pretty good. So yeah, the love story, I didn't really buy into that. I don't know if you're really supposed to, but still. Yeah, the Miao Yin's character, like we talked about it a little bit already. There's nothing to her character. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't try to escape or fight or anything. I don't know. Her character is just really there.
Pretty face.
Yeah, apparently. So her character is just there. I didn't think they could have probably done more with that. And then the other thing that we kind of brought up, there's this very, very, very busy plot. There's so much going on. You don't really need to follow it to enjoy it. But there's a lot of moving pieces going on.
The basic plot is Wang's trying to get his girl back.
Yeah. So that's all. That's all I had for criticism.
I do think the only thing that they kind of did well, because the first, I don't know, maybe the first like 30, 35 minutes, I didn't watch like sitting down, like focused on it. I was like doing dishes or whatever. And
usual.
Right.
I think that's like the third time in one of these. Doing dishes.
I did research on my dishes. Okay. I was trying to scrub some grandma, but that like, it was a little bit confusing, but the movie did like slow down to certain increments. And I remember Maria coming out and she was like talking to me for a second. I remember being like, wait a minute, this is like definitely going to explain the plot right now. And like I paused it and then she was talking to me and then I restarted it. And I was like, they like went on to explain what was happening. And I was like, I get the movie again. Like I understand what's happening other than just the action points. So.
Okay, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, it's very, very true. So. All right. I mean, we've ran through some of my favorite quotes already. I can say some of it again, but yeah, I do love the hollow. Fuck it. I love that. And when the Guardian first shows up and they don't know what the fuck to do, and Jack just shoots it, and then it runs away, and everyone looks at him and he goes, "You never know till you try."
That's a great
I like that one. So I didn't know if there were any other quotes that you guys had. I know we've kind of ran through a lot of them.
I've got
already,
a couple.
But, yeah, what do you got?
It's from the opening scene, the real opening scene, not that bullshit reshoot. And he's talking. He's like, "Have you paid your dues, Jack?" "Yes, sir. The check is in the mail." I like that one. Then after the fight scene in the alley when he first meets Lopan and runs him over, and he's like, "I'm a reasonable guy, but I've just experienced some unreasonable."
That's a good one. I like that one. Whenever he says Jack Burton with the Pork Chop Express, I get a chuckle. Like whenever he just says Pork Chop Express. So
it's like the most like, it is hilarious because that is, I just want to know who thinks of that phrase, just Pork Chop Express. Like that is like the perfect like 2 words to just like describe it. Like I don't know if there's like 2 better combination of words to be like, yeah, this is exactly what this movie is, the Pork Chop Express.
Yeah, it's like, it is. And it's like it's one of those things where after you see it in the movie, I couldn't think of it being called anything else. Like it just works perfectly in this movie. No, yeah, I mean, and then I did a lot of research on this movie, obviously, so I have a couple little trivia facts here about the movie that we haven't talked about, but I'll give you guys a chance first. Maybe not you, Bo, but Quinn, anything else about this movie that you had notes on that we hadn't talked about yet?
We talked that it was first written as a Western.
Yeah, which it would have been a horse that he lost, not a truck, as the Western, FYI. No,
Kim Cattrall. Her eyes are not green normally, and she had horrendous time with the contact lenses.
Oh,
yes.
That sounds
like she could not wear them, and they had to put them in, and her eyes kept tearing up, so it was really hard to shoot.
Yep, I did remember hearing that or reading that one. That's actually
pretty wild. Because I know Maria, like when we did Halloween stuff, like when we were younger all the time, she would always put in contact lenses for like whatever she was doing. And she had to try to put in like white ones or something once for whatever.
Which they had to do in this movie too. They had to do
when they were brided up.
I never got them in. It was the most miserable experience of my life. That's how I refuse to go to the optometrist because I know I need new glasses and I know they're gonna be like, oh, you need contacts too. And I'd be like, no, I am not poking my eye. Yeah. So I could totally like see why Kim would have that would have been a miserable experience for her.
And it's the 80s. Like I don't know what contacts were like back then. Like
that's true.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know the technology.
A chunk of glass.
Right, like it's glass.
Even a job in the 80s?
What was that?
I was joking. I said, is optometry even a job in the 80s?
No, like you could tell me right now that they didn't have like the versions they have now, and they were only glass contacts back then, and I'd be like, yeah, sure. Like I don't know.
Makes sense.
No, but I know we've covered a lot, but the one or two trivia things I had here. One is I've actually read comics on Big Trouble in Little China where they cross Snake Plissken and Jack Burton into the same story. Snake Plissken's the guy from Escape from New York. That is actually really cool. Just to have like the two Kurt Russell characters like in a comic together. That was actually really good. And then they are planning on making a sequel. I didn't know if you guys had seen this. Yeah. So in June 2015, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said he was developing a remake. And he was going to star as Jack Burton. But that pissed some people off, including John Carpenter. So then in August 2018, they gave an update. And they're like, oh, no, it's not a remake. It's going to be a sequel. The Rock isn't going to play Jack Burton. If he's still in it, he's playing someone else. But would people want to see a sequel to this? I feel like this is a movie where I'm usually kind of... I'm usually lenient on the, sure, give me a sequel, whatever. But, this is one where I know they have the monster.
Okay, argument against that. The Thing sequel sucked.
Well, it was a prequel. But
whatever you want to call it. The new one they made sucked.
We watched that in college together.
They made practical effects for it, then they reshot everything in CGI.
That was so dumb. Total off topic, but kind of because it's the Thing. That's so stupid to make an entire movie with practical effects that probably look good and then replace all of them with fucking CGI. What were they thinking? Anyways. So apparently, as far as they're still making a sequel to this, I don't know how much I love that, but...
I feel like I like The Rock as a person and, he's fine in movies for what he does, but there's no way he could play Jack Burton if that was literally the intended plan. He would. I mean, real quickly, what actor would you think would be able to play Jack Burton right now?
A good buffoon-y type character?
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. I heard arguments that this was the original Chris Pratt.
Would you say
Star-Lord?
I said James
Iron
Franco,
Man.
maybe.
What?
Kind of good with
he's
sarcasm.
canceled.
Is he?
Who's that?
What did he do?
James Franco.
His brother for being too short?
No, he got canceled during Disaster Artist. He didn't get an Oscar nomination basically because he got canceled for sexual harassment stuff.
Oh, I didn't even know that he was called out.
That's why he hasn't been in a movie since then.
I guess so.
I don't know.
Wait, so Chris Pratt was the one you guys...
Well, I was trying to think of a buffoon, a lovable buffoon who could kind of be an action star, and Chris Pratt is just the one that most people think of. That's not a creative answer. It's kind of an obvious, but maybe him. Right. I'm kind of sick of. I'm kind of over Chris Pratt, but
I saw it when it came.
You know who could be I feel like maybe a somewhat decent Jack Burton right now? Just popped in my head. Mac from It's Always Sunny. Especially now that he's just yoked.
Wait, the fat version or the Jack?
The Jack version would be the best. He's almost too Jack now, though. He's crossed the boundary into being
He's definitely not maintained that.
He could be. I think you're right. I think he could be good. That would be a good one. It is one of those roles though, where it's almost I just don't want to see anyone else do it.
Yeah, no,
most remakes.
I don't think it should happen.
There are some where I'm
okay with better than the original.
What was that?
I was saying, what was the last remake that was better than the original?
I can think of one, but that's it. True Grit.
You liked it better than the original?
Yeah. The new one with Jeff Bridges,
That's good.
I think that one is
good.
miles better than True Grit. I just rewatched the old True Grit with John Wayne because the Haley and I, the last episode we did was 1969, and that's John Wayne won the Oscar for that movie that year. That movie's not that good.
I'm honestly pretty disappointed that you.
I like the new one a lot. I think it's really
great. What was that?
I haven't seen the old one in forever though.
I'm honestly pretty disappointed you didn't say The Longest Yard.
Gotta love that Adam Sandler verse, man. I don't hate that movie. I don't
It's
hate
funny.
that.
It's really funny.
You sold me out when you put Bill Goldberg in anything because he was like my childhood hero. Like
Romanowski is fucking in the movie too.
WCW Goldberg, and then he was in the movie. I was like, this is my new favorite.
The best joke.
See the dude with the giant dick in the movie, and they're like, "Damn, we don't have cups big enough for you."
Yeah. Like X is like his number is an X or whatever in his jersey. Best joke.
I watched this movie too recently to like remember those two things.
I think I've only seen that movie once, but
like last week.
No, like years ago. I remember dumb shit.
Remake, they did a great job of subverting expectations with the death of the caretaker. What was his name? I don't remember the character's name.
You remember, Quinn? Just say it.
No, I mean it was Chris Tucker was in the new one, but how he died in the original, you thought he was going to die that way in the new one, and then they totally subverted the expectations, and he died a completely different way.
Wait, you're talking about a different movie?
What movie are you talking about?
Longest Yard.
I thought you were still talking about Longest Yard.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Not
in the
Chris
original,
Tucker.
he dies
Chris
by
Rock.
turning on.
You're talking about Chris Rock.
Yeah. What I said.
You said Chris Tucker. That's what really threw me off. I'm like trying to think of Rush Hour or something.
I forgot his name. The comedian guy.
Chris Rock. Yes, in the original one, that character, the light bulb blows up, dies. Yes, yeah. You're right. What was it? Last thing. I thought this was actually really interesting. The last little trivia thing I had here. So you know how movies, like two movies that are almost about the same exact thing, come out in the same year, like all the time.
No Strings Attached and Friends with Benefits.
Yeah, or like
all rom-coms.
No, like The Prestige and The Illusionist.
Oh, are you talking about the Eddie Murphy movie?
Yes, Golden Child and Big Trouble in Little China came out in the same year. And when the producers of Big Trouble in Little China found out, they rushed production of like Big Trouble to get it to be released before Golden Child. So it's kind of crazy that like they paid attention to that shit. And Golden Child I've seen it, is by far a worse movie, but it did so much better at the box office than. Really? Well, I think it's because
I've heard of it though.
I know it's not a good movie. Like us now, like we wouldn't hear of it because it just isn't that good. But like kind of what Quinn was saying, they had Eddie Murphy who was coming off a Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours, and Trading Places. Like he's mega star. I mean, he's just easy to market. So, I think that's why it did so much better. And that budget was $25 million. So the budget was even bigger on that one, but it did a lot better. But kind of funny that, like, I think John Carpenter said something like, how many years has it been since someone's made a mystical Chinese folklore movie? And now we got fucking two coming out in the same year.
Like, Chinese dark magic.
Yeah, exactly. Like two coming out in the same year with almost identical plots. Anyways, I thought that was kind of interesting. Like they actually rushed production to get it out first, but it did worse in the box office anyways because Kurt Russell wasn't a star yet, and they had Eddie Murphy. So,
what movie made Kurt Russell a star? When did he become a star?
I would say, let me.
Because I'm trying to think of his movie. I only know his '80s movies.
Yeah, I mean, Backdraft came out in like '92, and that was a Ron Howard high budget, high box office movie. So I think that one probably did a lot for him. Let me look here.
I only know him from his movies that are not very
famous
now. But Tombstone.
Tombstone is supposed to be super good, and I've never seen
Tombstone. It. Tombstone is fantastic, but it came out after Backdraft. I think Backdraft
that's the one where I'll be your Huckleberry.
Yes, that's Tombstone. Yep.
Did you guys? Were you I was talking with you, Matt, about the Lovecraftian movies.
Yeah. It was in our group chat, but yeah, I was the one responding.
I just watched a movie called The Endless and another one called Resolution. Super good. But it's like basically Lovecraftian is the idea that you are insignificant.
Yeah.
And there's always like these higher things that are doing stuff and they just view you as nothing.
That's life.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
I'm going to tell you what my next one is going to be. It's going to be a live watch.
All right.
It's going to be Hubie Halloween.
Oh, God. Is that the new Adam Sandler one?
Oh, it's got to be. That makes sense.
That's it. I might just leapfrog you, Quinn, to get it in before Halloween actually happens.
That's fine. I'm okay with it.
But Hubie Halloween is going to be my next one. I think it should be a live watch because there's no way that we're going to need to pay too much attention to that fucking plot.
Well, when are we going to plan on doing this? I can pick that one as mine if we want to make sure we get it in by Halloween.
If you want, we could just do Hubie next. You just keep your turn. You do it after. You do one of these.
Yeah, it's up to you. That's what you'd rather do.
Yeah,
let's do it. We only have 2 weeks till Halloween.
I was going to say, I'll pick Texas Chainsaw 3D just so Alexandra Daddario shows up and Quinn can stare at the screen for an hour and a half.
I mean, I'll look at it.
All right, I'm going to bed. My kid's going to be up in Matt's kid's probably waking up here shortly.
Yeah, in that 90 minutes.
Take care of.
See you in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Hopefully not, but yeah, probably.
All right.
All right, see you.
Bye.